Hi, I'm Jackie Jensen. Welcome to Carolina Crafting. Today we're at Spirit Tall, the studio of Jo Kilmer. Let's go up to Jo's studio and see what she's doing. Jo, what are we building here today?
Today I'm building some miniature chairs out of some maple saplings. And right now I'm putting my horizontal pieces on. I start out with doing all my verticals up and down and then do my bottom pieces.
I like the way the feet on there look. This looks like a little elephant foot.
Yeah, and this piece here, as you notice in the back, I put a straight piece because you're not going to really see that back there.
Right.
But up front, I'm trying to get one with a little bit more character in it, so going across.
And the seats, barnwood?
Yep, this is old barnwood. It actually had a little bit of the old red milk paint on it.
Ah.
And when I oil that, it'll become even a richer red, and it'll look great.
That's really cool. I like that old red looking.
Yeah, yep. Once the whole thing's done, it's going to look really nice. I use linseed oil and turpentine 50-50 when I oil my pieces, which is more like a natural preservative if you want to be green instead of using polyurethane.
Yeah, I'm really into the green thing.
Yeah. And people love the smell of it.
Oh, yeah.
When they come into my booth, they'll be like, oh, what's that smell? And it really helps sales, actually. So
I saw your booth at the, I think it's in Hayesville on the Market Square.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's a nice little show over there.
What's your next show?
I'll be at the Mountain Heritage Fest down in Blairsville. And after that, at the John C. Campbell Folk School Show.
I know the folk school one is the first weekend in October. What date is the one in Blairsville?
That's September 5th and 6th.
I know this will be airing much after that, but next year, it's an annual. All of the shows are annual shows, so you can check websites for that. I'm sure.
Yep. So basically, with this chair, I'm going to put all my horizontals on the bottom, like I did with this other little guy here, which is
cute. That's really neat.
He's only a 16-inch high chair. This one here is 22. And in my workshop, I recommend that you start with a bigger chair because they're much easier to build. Because at my house here, I do offer workshops, one-day workshops that you build a miniature chair and a trellis in one day. You go home with 2 finished projects, and I just tell people to keep in mind what vehicle they bring depending on how big of a trellis they make, because you have to get it home. But you're welcome to build.
That's true.
Yeah, but they're welcome to build anything as big as they like, and I love having workshops because some of your best ideas actually come from your customers and from other people.
I find when you're with a group of artists, ideas
inspiration
is
so much higher. Yes,
right.
I love it. Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, this one I did put all 4 horizontals on it, and then I would put my arms on it, and I had that stick here, which I think actually would look better this chair here. This one here has got some fork stuff going on. I've got a fork piece here and a fork piece there. So I would probably end up putting like this fork piece here on there also, and trim it up and for a back, and
that looks really good.
Oil it. And
how'd you get started?
Actually, I lived in Missouri for 11 years, and after I moved there, there was a man there making the traditional fan back chairs, bent wood, and so I just started gathering wood and made a framing table and got going on it. And he was really nice. They call it the show me state, and I know why, because he said, well, you look like you're really, want to do this. He says, do you want me to show you how to find a willow patch? Because I was just scrounging alongside the road, just getting willow wherever I could. And so the best thing that happened to me was when he showed me how to find a willow patch. And that was basically taking the old farm roads, you know, the gravel roads that go right to the river through the farm pastures and everything. And there would just be acres and acres of willow growing along the rivers.
Wow.
And there was one patch I went to, which I always say I struck gold. I won the lottery then because it was gorgeous. It was young, it was healthy. And my son went with me one day to cut some wood. And we counted, there was 8 bald-headed eagles in the patch as we went there. Yeah,
man. That's great.
Right, and when you came out of the patches, there would be just buck running in front of your truck alongside the levee, you know, because you had to go on levees and up over levees and all. And so the best part of this job is being with nature and wildlife and everything you see in the woods.
Did you do art before you got into the bentwood?
Oh yeah, when before I moved to Missouri, I lived in upstate New York on the Hudson River, and I used to drag home cedar from the woods and make trellises and different things from my garden and do the bent wood fences. So it just was always something in me, and I did sculpture with clay and all while I was up in New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I had a couple pieces over in Woodstock. You know.
Did you really?
Hippie town. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know I seen a book that has your work in it. Can you tell me a little bit how that all came about?
The book actually was basically from a lot of hard work of traveling cross country to different art shows. And when I started doing the rustic furniture, my goal was to be up with the top dog rustic furniture makers up in the Adirondack Mountains at Blue Mountain Lake. There's a big show up there every year. And I was accepted into that show one year, and just by getting to know other artists up there and book writers, they wanted this one man, Willow, he's a really cool guy, and he's the one who does that rustic furniture website that I said I was on, where he's trying to get all the rustic furniture makers on this one website. He approached me about doing a book with just women in it, because he didn't want the gender role to be played, that this is a man's job, you know, to be building rustic furniture, that it's a woman's thing too. So he has this series of 4 books with 3 women featured in each book, and I was in the first book. Oh, wow. And I taught how to weave a lampshade is what I taught how to do, how to weave bark, because it's something really rare that people are doing.
I've never seen woven bark, actually. Before I saw your work, it's really neat.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you show me how to bend a willow? I'm sure that's not willow. It looks more like a maple, but you show us how to bend?
Sure. Yeah, there is willow around here, but there's also a lot of other wood that's pliable and that you can bend. And this is actually maple, is what this is. And the best maple to get is under the power lines where they've cut the trees. And then the second growth is coming up because it'll grow pretty tall and straight. But the whole secret to bending really is that you don't want to push down. People automatically think, well, bend it, push it down. But it's actually a technique that you use where you put your foot on it, and you kind of, as you're rolling it out, you kind of roll up. You pull up as you roll. You don't want to just push down to get it, or otherwise. And as you roll it back and forth, you'll kind of see, oh, well, there might be a straight spot here that's not bending as much for you or something. And that requires a little bit of knee action, and you could just, you know, kind of get out that kink like that. But basically, this would make, you know, a pretty nice piece in the arbor.
Oh, yeah.
And if you had 2 of them, you could make a heart. You know, that could be one side of the heart and the other. And you can do it with smaller wood and bigger wood. But yeah, and
okay, I have to ask a stupid question. How do you get it to stay that way?
Oh, you just nail it. You nail it, and while it's green, you don't have to soak it in water or anything. Just because it's green and the sap is in it, it'll bend for you, and you nail it, and it just stays like that.
And just put it at whatever the frame is that you're.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a great example of some of Jo's work. I just love these trellises. And her garden. Her garden is awesome. Even though it's late summer, she still has tomatoes. Let's go on down to her jewelry studio and see what's happening down there. I ran into Jo at a craft show in Hayesville, North Carolina, and really admired her bark jewelry. It's so unique. Jo, can you tell us how you make your necklaces?
Sure. I use the willow tree bark that I weave with and all, and I adhere it onto a piece of cowhide is what I do. I cut it into shapes, and I'll use all different shapes. I use circles, I use hearts, you know, whatever the mood strikes me.
I was wondering what the material was on the back.
Yeah, that way it's nice and soft against your skin,
Yeah.
and it gives the bark some durability. And this is just something I've had in my mind for like 3 years, and I finally figured it out. But I think it came because I used to macrame for so many hours in high school with the wax lining that it was kind of like an incorporation of the macrame with the bark, with the rustic furniture that I do. And so anyway, after I put it on the cowhide, I'll sand my bark, and then I'll put a nice coat of linseed oil on it. And after you put the linseed oil on it, it gives it a much darker appearance, as you can see.
More depth.
Yeah, I love it when you oil something. And then after I oil it, I'll drill holes in it. And I use my little Dremel here, which is a great tool, but one of the best inventions, I think, to drill my holes all around. This one I've got a circle. And after I get my holes all drilled, I use the Irish wax linen, which is what a lot of basket makers use. And I love this.
I've heard
stuff.
the term that before, but I've never seen any of it, so
Right.
I learned something today.
Yeah, the folk school carries it, and what I love about it is it comes in like all
great
different colors. Yeah, I've even got purple, I've got black, I'm out of brown right now, but yeah, it comes in a wide variety of colors. And right now this is forest green. And I don't use I just kind of use my arm as a measuring tool.
It's supposed to be a yard, right?
Yeah, around there, and I just kind of say, well, you know, I want this one to be that twice as long as that, and then I add a little extra to go around the piece that I'm going to be stitching. So basically what I'm doing is, after I get my holes all drilled, is I'm stitching my bark work. And there's a wide variety of stitches that you can use, but I kind of do, I loop it around over, under, and then I reverse it the other way, so it'll come out with kind of like an X mark around it. So basically, you just stitch on the bark. And right here, this is actually going to be a little purse, believe it or not. I'm going to put a little piece of probably leather in front here with an antler button or something. I've got to make the rope for the whatever, but that's probably the biggest piece.
What kind of wood is that?
That's also willow.
That's willow?
Yep, on leather.
Oh, wow.
And I've done headbands. You can do belts. You can do hat bands. I just tell people I'm just so into trees, I'm starting to hear bark to myself, you know. So I've got a bracelet here and
that's pretty.
one on my neck. And then I do just the macrame also, which this is the macrame. Anyway, so I would stitch this around, and after I got it done stitching, I would kind of, I've got a wide variety of beads. I love beads. If I go anywhere, that's the one thing I always look for is beads. And I would just try to find a bead that I think would look really nice on here, and that's got a lot of nice green in it.
It does, and that matches the...
That would look really nice. So basically I would drill that and put that on. And I try to use wooden toggles when I make things. Make it as primitive as possible. And this one, a lot of people like this when you put the toggle in the front, so they don't have to fool with it in the back. If they
that's hard.
Yeah. So if they want to see how to put it on, they can look in the mirror and see.
That's neat.
So that's basically.
You made a little toggle.
Yeah. I just
a little twig.
Out of a piece of willow.
You're green. You use every little bit of that tree.
That's right. I know. That's why my shop looks like it does. 'Cause I don't want to throw anything away.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, especially when you take so much time to gather it. You know.
Right.
And then I also do what I call my rock pockets. See, I've got to put these on.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and it's just basically, you know, knitting around a rock. And
your lucky rock.
Yeah, if you have a favorite rock from hiking or something.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I call kind of my line of sticks and stones jewelry.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Sticks and stones.
Yeah.
That's neat. I've seen bookmaking classes before on video and stuff, but I never saw one doing bark. It's always been, paper and even some leather and stuff. But this is really cool. Can you explain how you made these?
Yeah, I used a piece of luan for the backing for the bark, which is about the thinnest piece of wood you could probably buy. And then I glue my bark onto it. And again, I sand it and oil it. And this particular one, I use pinecone needles for the outline of the picture.
That's cool.
And where I want to really paint on the bark, I mean, I don't want it completely smooth because I want the character of the bark, but I do sand a little bit more in there for a painted surface.
That's really neat, and especially up here in the mountains. If you were here and you wanted to keep a diary, if you're on vacation, this would be like the perfect thing to put it in because it's so rustic and
right. Usually I do ones with bears on them, but of course they're gone because they sell the quickest. So.
I noticed also you had picture frames with the bent wood too. I love that sheep. Did you do that?
Yeah, I did that in watercolor.
Oh,
that was actually
so cute.
Postcards one year for Christmas.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that is really.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it has a little holly in the berries. That is so sweet. Your work is just amazing. Also noticed this has a dragonfly on it. I know you make little dragonflies to put in the garden. Can we go look at some of those?
Sure.
I love these dragonflies. Those are so cool to put in the garden. I noticed you brought one in from outside. It is a rainy day in North Carolina today. I have to admit that, but it gives them a nicer sheen too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When did you start making dragonflies?
About 3 years ago, after I moved here, I started making them out of mountain laurel, which is very durable wood for outside. So somebody had ripped off a metal roof off their house about 3 years ago and asked me if I wanted it, and I said sure, with no idea what I was going to do with it. And then just one day it dawned on me, well, there's the wings for my dragonflies that I've had in my head. So that's where that idea came from. The wings came from. The dragonfly idea I just had in my head for the longest time, but I just couldn't figure out the wings. So,
So the roof.
Yeah, yeah.
You're being green too. You're recycling and reusing and repurposing. It's such a good thing. I love that.
Right, and people love them. They're on a stick and just a little bit of breeze, and they'll kind of move in the garden. They look great in the flowers. So I think it was last year that I decided to make the babies. Do the smaller size, and then this year I decided to fly them. I drill holes in the wings and I hang fishing line, so they can fly from a tree or whatever too, and the wind will make them.
Maybe we'll come back when it's not raining. We'll take some pictures of your garden and we can see the flying ones. It can't rain forever, I know. It seems like it today.
Yeah,
those are really cool. Thanks so much for inviting us over and letting us see your workshop. I've never seen such a cool. The whole package. You've done such a nice job on your area and making it so rustic and so mountainous. You've done a great job.
Thank you very much. I've been working hard at it. Thank you.
It's been well worth it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I had a great time here today. I really enjoyed being with Jo and seeing her workshop and her little cottage that she uses for making jewelry. As some of you know, Jo also clogs over at the John C. Campbell Folk School, so we'll get to see a little bit of that as we go out today on this show. Thanks for watching. Hope you had a great time. I did.